I'm Cole Haddon, and what you're about to listen to is a bonus episode from Season 1 of 5 a.m. StoryTalk. In this podcast bonus eps, my guests break down a seminal piece of art from their lives, what I describe as mini masterclasses, although not always on the subject you expect. These bonus episodes are exclusive to my paid supporters in the season they were originally published. But in the following season, they're each unlocked, one at a time, so everyone can listen to them alongside the new episodes. Your paid subscriptions get you early access to these bonus eps, months and months early, but they also help keep the lights on here. In fact, Season 2 of this podcast enjoys several production upgrades because so many of you believe in this multimedia arts and culture conversation. I hope you consider becoming a paid supporter yourself, which you can learn more about in the show notes. Now, enjoy this 5 a.m. Story Talk bonus episode, Story Talkers. Welcome back to 5 a.m. Story Talk, and thanks for being a paid subscriber. I'm Cole Haddon, and I don't exaggerate when I say that today's bonus episode wouldn't be possible without you. I'm here again with epidemiologist Dr. Rimoin, and we'll be discussing a seminal piece of art from her life, the song Moyo from Ricardo Lemvo and his band Makina Loca. You can find a link for this in the show notes if you don't know it already. It's an incredibly fun, sexy, street-style mashup of musical traditions from Congolese to samba to Cuban. Lemvo grew up in Congo, but lives in LA today. He recorded the song in 2014, and it appears on his album La Rumba SoYo. You can find any other relevant links to this episode in the show notes, as always. Now, let's get into it. Welcome back, Annie. When you agreed to join me for this conversation, I asked you to choose a seminal piece of artwork from your life to tell me about, and you went with something deeply personal to you. Can you tell listeners about it?
Sure. So this was actually a really tough decision you were asking me. I happen to love a lot of music, and I will often tell people that Oingo Boingo is my favorite band. I really mean that, like from the depths of my soul. I mean that I love Oingo Boingo beyond basically any other music. But that said, I actually have a song that is just unbelievably meaningful to me. And so when you were asking me, well, give me a piece of art, I thought about this a lot. And there's a song, and it's called Moyo, which in the Congolese, many Congolese languages, 217 official ones, but in Chiluba and Kikongo, two of these languages, it means the soul or the heart. And it also means something a little more intimate, which is like my darling or my sweetheart. It's kind of like a cozy name for somebody. And it was originally a traditional song that was sung by a famous Congolese rumba singer named Tabale Rusharu. And then later, a friend of mine, who's a very, very well-known world artist named Ricardo Lemvo, reinterpreted it with his own Afro-Cuban Congolese style. He's totally amazing, and sang it and actually gave me a shout out in it, which is very, very meaningful because it kind of tied everything together for me. My love of Congo, my love of music, my dedication. And when he sings my name, he says, Annie Rimoin, Mama Etete, Sengonini Nabwana, so obviously my name, Annie Rimoin, Mama Etete, which is a name that was given to me by the Congolese. It's kind of something that even like the Minister of Health will call me. And then he says, Sangonini Nabwana, which means, how's it going in the village? What's happening? And, which really all together in this song that is about heart and soul and about love. And then to get this shout out, people get really excited to get an award or a plaque. I get a shout out on a Congolese salsa track. I will take it. That is a win.
With the song itself, what is, I guess, the original intent of it, and how is it presented for those who don't speak the language?
Well, it's written like a love. It's just a love song, right? And it's just a song that is the shout out is not related. It's just that this is actually a Congolese tradition to shout out people's names or people that are important. And you'll see that in a lot of Congolese songs that they'll have this thing called the shout out, they'll have these shout outs to people. And so, I mean, it's not a song to me or about me. It's just a love song. But, this whole idea, it carries a lot of emotion and spirit and connection and all of these things all at once. It's not really about what the song is, although the song is just, to me, it's such a lovely song and such a unique, thing that it was like a song sung by an original one of these, like everybody in Congo knows who Tabule was, who Tabule Rochero was. And he was so iconic. And then to, have this song recast and then to have my nickname and my name and my connection to Congo be part of it just feels so poetic to me. I just think it's special.
So why do you think he included you? Why did he shout out to you?
Well, I think it was just a tribute to me and to my work. And, I had met Ricardo, several times here in Los Angeles because there are not a lot of people that do the LA Congo
Mm.
shuffle back and forth. And I met him because I ended up going to his shows and, also because then I knew so much about Congolese music because it was this, again, it's just this connection and chemistry, became a friend. And when he was recording his new album, it was just, he knew about the work I was doing in Congo and how much time I was spending there and how I was doing things like, oh, my per diem, take it. And, please go analyze these samples and, trying to really fight for the Congolese to have more funding and to be able to, have more opportunity and taking the time to, I trained so many Congolese scientists. It was like a thank you to me. And what was really special is he included this name, this Mama Etete, which in Otatella, in another Congolese language in the area where I work, means the woman who never gives up, the La Perseverante. And I was given that name by my Congolese colleague, Professor Okito Landa, the dean of the Kinshasa School of Public Health, and Jean-Jacques Moyembe, who is the director of the National Laboratory, but also the man who discovered the Ebola virus. And that nickname carries so much weight and so much importance to me because they basically, the two of them named me Mama Etete and became something that stuck, was kind of just how I did things. It was kind of like at a certain point, one of the ministers of health, there've been, they changed over time, but in the, days not long after I had been given this name and then people started to know me as that name, I'd walk into the Minister of Health's office for something and he'd say, Mama Tete, how's it going? Sangodini na buena. And, it kind of got to the point where I was always lobbying to do, could we please do this project or could we please get whatever it is we need? And finally, he would say to me, I'd walk in and he'd say, yes. The answer is yes. I'm not wasting time. So I know with you, it's yes now or yes later. So just yes. What do you want? Right? So Mama Etete. And that kind of theme would happen often with my team. We'd have a problem that we couldn't really figure out. And I think it was just my, it's my personality, right? Like my husband likes to say, it's, you can say yes now or yes later. It's up to you if you want to waste a lot of time in the interim, which he decides is what's going to happen.
I'm thinking Andy Dufresne from Shawshank Redemption. You just, it doesn't matter. You're going to give him the books and then he's going to get more. You're going to lose.
I'm just, I just like, you can waste your time and say yes later. That's totally fine with me. Just, it's like, it's no problem. Go ahead. But that's, there are so many kind of funny scenarios and, my team would laugh and just be like, Mama Tete, I'd walk out with a piece of paper that we all needed to go somewhere, permit for something or whatever. Mama Tete. And so, I think also, in those days too, I mean, in my really kind of, in some ways, in my young, naive, still kind of Peace Corps and driven by this, just real sense that I could make a difference in this place, which, again, it was just all uniquely there for me just because it all fit. It wouldn't have been the same if I'd been in another country. It just worked with the people and the knowledge and the music and the this and that and, all of it. And to me, that song, it encapsulates so much, right? Like this whole idea of this name that was given to me way out in the middle of the forest in the central Congo by these two collaborators that became literally like my second dads. They actually flew out to Los Angeles when my dad passed away to walk me down the aisle and to be at my wedding. And in fact, had a Congolese wedding ceremony for my husband and I in Congo. I've just been so embraced by these people, and that's been such a important part of my life and my work there, that and so much a part of who I am. The fact that, this world was this really amazing, super well-known world singer that, that is so wonderful would give me a shout out
Mm,
that is just so meaningful and kind of brings it all back together.
yes. With Mama Tete, this name that was given to you, do you think when you enter into environments where you're not native to them, you often don't know what you can or can't do, and there's an almost an advantage at times to that. Did that play to your advantage to be able to get things done because you didn't know how to read a room necessarily, or that you were just the bulldozer in this environment?
Absolutely. I mean, we had several situations. Actually, it happened with I rescued a baby bonobo in central Congo. And bonobos are our closest relative. They're a great ape. They are only found south of the Congo River. Very endangered species, and really very, very special creatures. And in our field site in central Congo, we did a lot of work following hunters in forest and figuring out how they were hunting, bow and arrow or snares or guns, and then doing a lot of work looking at, cross-species transmission disease. And so these hunters brought to us a baby bonobo and wanted to sell it to us. And of course, everybody was, like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And I called the bonobo sanctuary. There's a bonobo sanctuary in Kinshasa, only one in the world that's like a true sanctuary. And I called them and I said, listen, there's a bonobo here. I'm going to get him back to Kinshasa to you. And they were like, you're never going to get him out of here. Like, ever. You're never getting him out of Kole, this little town. And I was like, oh, watch me. So, of course, we had to go through all these matches. First, I told the hunters, I was like, I'm not going to buy him from you, but I will pay you to make me a little thing to take him back. We're flying one of these little single engine Cessnas back, and I had to go to the administrateur du territoire, like the governor of the area. And of course, he didn't want to give him to me. And so I spent a lot of time talking to him and convincing him that it was a really good idea. And I just basically just kept talking and talking and talking and talking. And finally, he was just like, okay, just be quiet and leave. Just like, go. Okay, take him. Goodbye. I was like, okay, that works. And, my team was like, Mama Tete. Like, so those kind of, things that I got him on the plane. I got him back to Kinshasa, and he lived a really amazing life in the sanctuary, then eventually rewilded. It was very special story, but also, perfect example of Mama Tete. I was just not going to let it go.
What I love about this podcast and how I've chosen to curate my guests is that nobody in my life has ever started an anecdote with this time I rescued a baby bonobo. It's just perfect. Mama Tete, you were telling me also wasn't the first name you were given in Africa. You have another one that doesn't work so well in Congo.
In Congo. So this is all about language and, how words can mean different things in different places. And yeah, so when I was with Okito and Moyembe out in this, forested area, and they were saying, you need to have a Congolese name, you're so dedicated to this place. And I said, oh, I already have one. And I told them that when I was a Peace Corps volunteer back in Benin, they gave me the name. I arrived in my village on a Sunday. And so the village gave me the name for girls born on a Sunday. I just want to make it really clear. This name is like Jane in Benin. Like on all of our materials for the guinea worm eradication, it was like, see, go to the water source. And this, it's literally like see Jane run, right? And the name is Asiba. And the word Asiba in local language in Fon in Benin means, it's the name for girls born on Sunday. And, Monday it's Sika, and, for boys it's Kojo, and, on one day, and Kwesi. And I mean, everybody's got names for different days of the week. So when I told them my name was Asiba, I already have a name from when I was Peace Corps volunteer in Benin in my village, and they lost it. And I mean, like, they were laughing, like wheezing, clutching their sides. I mean, they were like crying. They were laughing so hard. And finally, Moyembe said, listen, I don't know what you were doing in that village, but whatever it was, you're not doing that here. You're our daughter now. and we're giving you a name that fits. So they called me Mama Etete. And it wasn't until later that I learned the what Asiba actually meant in local slang. It's basically like a sexual term. So, yeah, not one that you're going to be putting on your business card.
Bringing it back to Ricardo, have you seen the song performed live?
I have. It's been a long time, but I have. And to have it on one of his albums is just so amazing.
It's such a I'm sure you've had this experience when you listen to music in languages you don't speak. You have to go just with the vibe, which often creates a lot of misunderstanding, but it's just a joyous dance song to my ears. It elevates me immediately. It's such a wonderful song, and you can hear so many influences in it, which as I've read about Ricardo's music, it is such a mashup of these different influences in his life from the Congo to the US to the Caribbean to South America. It's extraordinary. I'm going to be sharing it in the show notes to make sure everybody listens to it.
Well, it was really an extraordinary moment for me. And it's like, it's like being renamed and being claimed. And, it's funny and it's meaningful. And like Ricardo's music, in so many, he sings in Kikongo, he sings in Chiluba, he sings in Lingala, he sings in Spanish. And, that's because in Central Africa, language is power and language is identity. And every word carries weight. Right. And one phrase can mean heart and soul and love and life or something wildly inappropriate, perseverant, persistent, or, something a little more spicy. But it's really, to me, the song just represents so many different pieces of my life and my connection to the Congo and what the Congo has given me. And the fact that this song was a song, Moyo, which is the soul or, the heart, is exactly what Congo has been to me, right? It's not just like a place of research. It's a place of my heart, of my, as they say, Lingala, my motema, where I found mentors and collaborators and community and bonobos and, have spent the last 2 decades of my life being so intertwined, both personally and professionally. I feel very grateful.
Do you have any plans of going back in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, I go back and forth reasonably regularly. I have to balance it with my teaching schedule and with, all the other things, but I was back there in January. I'll be back in June. So I'll be back.
It sounds like you're never going to stay away. So that's wonderful to find, as we were talking about before we started properly chatting, find a piece of yourself someplace so far away that you can't let go.
That's true. That much describes it. And why would I? I mean, it's one of those things that, it's a very special place. I've learned so much and grown so much. And, it's been really central to my identity and my existence for the last 2 decades. I look forward to a lot more time there.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today for this conversation. I've enjoyed every minute of it and learned a lot and was a little terrified. But thank you.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
As for you listening, thank you again for your support of 5 a.m. Story Talk. If you have any questions about this bonus episode, slide into the comments with them and I'll do my best to answer them. If you enjoyed what you just listened to, slapping a star rating on this podcast, maybe giving it a thumbs up if you're on YouTube, will go a long way to helping it grow. Well, that's it for now. I'll see you next time, my friends.